The gun was already pressed to her temple when Lily realized she'd been followed to the cemetery. She couldn't scream. He didn't give her the chance. "You come here every week," the man whispered, his breath hot against her ear. "Crying over a dead man who can't save you anymore." Her knees buckled against the cold marble headstone. The flowers she'd brought, white roses, always white roses, scattered across the grave that read, Cade Moretti. Beloved son. Feared leader. Gone too soon, 3 months. It had been 3 months since the man she loved was gunned down in the warehouse district, his body left in pieces for his enemies to find. 3 months since she'd watched his casket lowered into the ground while men in expensive suits pretended to mourn. 3 months since she'd become the ghost of a ghost, hiding in plain sight because loving Cade Moretti had painted a target on her back that would never fade. "He left you nothing," the man hissed, cocking the hammer. "No protection. No legacy. Just debts and enemies who remember your face." What happened next changed everything. Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Before we dive into this story, and trust me, you're not ready for what's about to unfold, drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do me a huge favor and hit that button right now because this tale of love, betrayal, and second chances is going to wreck you in the best way possible. Now, let's get into it. Lily had always known that loving a monster would destroy her. She just didn't think it would happen at his grave. The stranger's finger tightened on the trigger. She could feel the cold metal biting into her skin, could smell the gunpowder and cologne that reminded her too much of the world she tried to escape. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but she didn't close her eyes. If she was going to die here, on top of Cade's grave, surrounded by the roses he'd once bought her every Sunday before the violence consumed him, then she'd die looking at his name one last time. "Any last words?" the man asked, almost bored. She did have words. So many words she'd whispered to the headstone week after week, confessions she'd never had the courage to say when Cade was alive. "I loved you. I would have chosen you. I would have stayed, even knowing what you were, But instead," she said, "he's going to kill you for this." The man laughed. "Sweetheart, he's dead." "Is he?" The voice came from behind them, low, cold, edged with a violence that made the autumn air freeze in Lily's lungs. The stranger spun, gun swinging away from her head. Lily collapsed against the grave, gasping, and looked up through tears and disbelief at the impossible. Cade Moretti stood 10 feet away, alive. Not a ghost. Not a hallucination born from grief and sleepless nights. Alive. He looked different. Harder. A fresh scar cut through his left eyebrow, disappearing into his hairline. New ink crawled up his neck, a serpent devouring a rose. His suit was gone, replaced by black on black, tactical and deadly. But his eyes, those storm-gray eyes she'd memorized in 1,000 stolen moments, they were the same. And they were locked on her with an intensity that stole what little breath she had left. "Drop the gun," Cade said quietly. The stranger didn't. Instead, he grabbed Lily, hauling her up and pressing the barrel back against her skull. "Stay back, Moretti, or I'll paint this cemetery with her." Cade moved. 1 second he was standing in the shadows. The next, he had the man's wrist twisted at an unnatural angle, the gun clattering to the ground. The stranger screamed. Cade didn't flinch. He simply applied more pressure until bone cracked, then shoved the man to his knees. "You followed her," Cade said, his voice devoid of emotion. "You put a gun to her head. You threatened what's mine. She's nobody." "Wrong answer." The gunshot echoed through the cemetery like thunder. Lily's scream died in her throat as the stranger crumpled, lifeless, onto the perfectly manicured grass. Blood pooled around white roses. Her white roses. Cade lowered the gun, his gun, the same custom Beretta she'd seen him clean 100 times in his penthouse while she pretended not to notice, and finally, looked at her. Really looked at her. She couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't reconcile the man standing before her with the closed casket she'd wept over, with the eulogies about a king cut down in his prime, with the empty bed she'd crawled into every night since, haunted by the scent of his cologne on pillows he'd never touch again. "You're dead," she whispered. "I was supposed to be. I buried you. You buried an illusion." Her legs gave out. Cade caught her before she hit the ground, his arms, strong, solid, real, wrapping around her waist exactly the way they used to when she'd fall asleep against his chest while he worked late into the night. The scent of him crashed over her, gunpowder and cedar and something darker she'd never been able to name. "Let go of me," she choked out, even as her fingers clutched his jacket like a lifeline. "No. You died." "I watched them lower your casket. I stood in the rain and listened to men who hated you pretend to care. I came here every week and talked to a gravestone like a fool. I know." She froze. "What?" Cade's jaw tightened. "I know you came every week. I know what you said." The world tilted. "You were listening." "Every word, Lily. Every single word." Horror and rage flooded through her in equal measure. She shoved against his chest, and this time he let her go, stepping back with that infuriating calm that used to drive her insane when they fought about his work, his enemies, the blood that never quite washed off his hands. "You son of a," she couldn't finish. The tears came too fast, 3 months of grief and guilt and loneliness pouring out in broken sobs. "Do you have any idea what you put me through? They came for me, Cade. Your enemies. They burned down my apartment. I lost my job. I've been living in a motel under a fake name, jumping at shadows, because everyone said I was your weakness and now you were gone so they could do whatever they wanted. I was protecting you. By letting me think you were dead. By making everyone else think I was dead too." His composure cracked, voice rising. "They were coming for me, Lily. A hit ordered by someone inside my own crew. I had 2 choices, die for real, or disappear long enough to find the traitor and burn their world to ash. I chose survival. I chose revenge. You chose to leave me. I chose to keep you alive." The silence that followed was deafening. Around them, the cemetery remained still, indifferent to their pain. Somewhere in the distance, a crow cawed. The body at their feet had already stopped bleeding. Lily wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly freezing despite the autumn sun. "Why now? Why reveal yourself now?" Cade's expression shuddered. "Because watching you grieve was killing me slower than any bullet could. And because..." He stepped closer, his hand reaching up to brush away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. "They're coming for you again, Lily. The traitors. They know you still visit my grave. They think you're the key to finding money I allegedly hid before I died. Is there money?" A ghost of a smile. "Always so practical." "Cade." "Yes. There's money. Enough to rebuild my empire 3 times over. But they'll never find it." His thumb traced her cheekbone, gentle despite the violence still coating his hands. "What they will find, if I don't stop them, is you. And I can't let that happen." She should run. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to get as far away from Cade Moretti and his blood-soaked world as possible. But her treacherous heart remembered every whispered confession at his grave, "I loved you, I chose you, I would have stayed," and knew the truth she'd been running from for 3 months. She still loved him. God help her, she still loved him. "What do you want from me?" she asked, voice breaking. Cade's eyes darkened with something dangerous and desperate and devastatingly familiar. "Everything, Lily. I want everything. Drop a comment and tell me, should Lily trust him? And don't forget to hit the subscribe." Lily had forgotten how dangerous Cade could be when he was being gentle. He didn't touch her again after that devastating confession. Instead, he crouched beside the body, rifled through the dead man's pockets with clinical efficiency, and pulled out a phone, wallet, and a photograph that made Lily's blood run cold. It was her. Outside the cemetery gates. "Taken yesterday. They've been tracking you for weeks," Cade said, pocketing the evidence. "This one was just the first they sent to test the waters. See if you'd break. See if you'd lead them to something valuable." "I don't have anything valuable. You have me." He stood, wiping blood off his hands with a handkerchief like he was cleaning up after dinner instead of murder. "Or they think you do. Which amounts to the same thing in my world." "My world, not our world," the distinction gutted her. "I can't do this again," Lily whispered, staring at the roses scattered across his fake grave. "I can't be the woman who waits at home while you go to war. I can't spend every night wondering if you'll come back in a body bag. I buried you once, Cade. I won't survive doing it twice." Something flickered across his face, regret, maybe, or pain he'd learned to bury deeper than his supposed corpse. "You don't have to survive it. You just have to trust me long enough to let me end this." "And then what? You ride off into the sunset and fake another death? Leave me crying over a different grave? Then I give you a choice." He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the exhaustion bruising beneath his eyes, the weight of 3 months spent hunting ghosts and becoming one. "Stay with me, knowing exactly what that means. Or walk away, and I'll make sure no one ever touches you again. New identity. New city. Enough money to start over anywhere you want. You'd let me go?" His jaw clenched. "If that's what you needed to be safe. To be happy, yes." The admission cost him. She could see it in the tension coiling through his shoulders, the white-knuckle grip he had on his self-control. Cade Moretti had built an empire on ruthlessness, on taking what he wanted and destroying anyone who stood in his way. But with her, he'd always been different. Softer. Like she was the only thing in his brutal world worth protecting instead of conquering. It terrified her how much she'd missed that feeling. "Who betrayed you?" she asked, changing the subject before her resolve crumbled completely. "I don't know yet. But I'm close." Cade pulled out his phone, typed something quickly, then pocketed it. "I have people cleaning this up. We need to move before anyone realizes their scout didn't report back. You're coming with me, Lily. Non-negotiable. You can't just." "I can. I will." He picked up her scattered roses, impossibly gentle, and placed them back on the headstone that bore his name. "You want to know the worst part of being dead? Listening to you apologize every week for things that were never your fault. Hearing you say you loved me in past tense, like I was really gone. Watching you break yourself open over a lie I created." Her breath caught. "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Because the people who want me dead don't play fair, and you." He touched her face again, thumb brushing her bottom lip. "You were the only good thing I ever had. I couldn't risk them using you to get to me. Couldn't risk you becoming collateral damage in a war you never signed up for. I signed up the first time I let you kiss me in that speakeasy," Lily shot back. "I signed up every time I patched your wounds and didn't ask questions. I signed up when I fell in love with a man who had blood on his hands and murder in his eyes and still held me like I was something precious." Cade's control shattered. He kissed her, hard, desperate, 3 months of longing compressed into a single moment that tasted like gunpowder and grief and coming home. Lily kissed him back even though she knew better, even though every rational part of her brain screamed that this was madness, that loving Cade Moretti would destroy her just like it almost had before. But God, she'd missed this. Missed him. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Cade pressed his forehead to hers. I need you to trust me one more time. Trust is earned, not demanded. Then let me earn it. He pulled back, all business again. My car's a block away. You're going to walk out of here with me, get in, and let me take you somewhere safe while I finish what I started. And if I say no? Then I'll have my men escort you anyway, because I'm not losing you again. Not to bullets, not to betrayal, and sure as hell not to your stubborn pride. He offered his hand. Choose me, Lily. Choose us. One more time. She looked at his outstretched hand, scarred knuckles, calloused palms, hands that had killed and protected in equal measure. Then at the grave behind them, the monument to a lie that had nearly destroyed her. Finally, at the man himself, alive and damaged and offering her everything she'd thought she'd lost forever. If you're still watching, drop a comment and tell me if you think Lily should run or stay, because what happens next is going to blow your mind. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, ***. Lily took his hand. The safe house was a penthouse overlooking the city, all floor-to-ceiling windows and expensive minimalism that screamed Cade's aesthetic. Lily had been here before, months ago, back when she was still naive enough to think love could exist without consequences in a world built on violence. Nothing's changed, she murmured, trailing her fingers over the marble countertop where Cade used to make her coffee every morning, back when they'd pretended normalcy was possible. Everything's changed. Cade locked the door behind them with 3 separate deadbolts. This place is off the books now. Ghost ownership. No one knows I still have access except my most trusted people. And how many of those do you have left? 2. He moved to the window, checking sight lines like muscle memory. My cousin Leo handles operations. And Nathan, my head of security. Everyone else is either dead or suspect. The casual way he said dead made her stomach turn. How many people died because of the hit on you? 17 in the initial ambush. 8 more in the cleanup. 3 of them were my friends. His voice remained flat, emotionless. Combat mode. The traitor knew my schedule, my routes, my security protocols. They knew everything, Lily. Which means they were close. Family level close. She sank onto the leather couch, the same one where they'd once spent an entire Sunday tangled together, ignoring the world outside. What's the plan? I've been picking apart my organization piece by piece. Testing loyalties. Following money trails. The traitor made one mistake, they took a payout from the Volkov family 2 weeks before the hit. The Russians? The same ones who've been trying to move into my territory for 3 years. Cade pulled off his jacket, revealing more new ink, a phoenix rising from ashes across his ribs. Symbolic. Painful. Very him. I found the offshore account. Traced it back to someone in my inner circle. But I need proof before I move. Can't afford to be wrong. And while you're gathering proof, what happens to me? He turned from the window, and the look in his eyes made her feel stripped bare. You stay here. Safe. Protected. Out of the crossfire. Like a prisoner. Like someone I'm not willing to bury for real. He crossed to her, kneeling so they were eye level. I know you hate this. I know you want agency, want control over your own life. But Lily, please. Just this once, let me keep you safe my way. She wanted to argue. Wanted to throw his protection back in his face and prove she didn't need saving. But the truth was simpler and more terrifying. She'd spent 3 months barely surviving without him, looking over her shoulder, jumping at shadows. She was exhausted. Scared. And despite everything, she still trusted him more than she trusted herself. "How long?" she asked. "A week. Maybe 2. Long enough to confirm the traitor and arrange a meeting. And then?" Cade's smile was cold enough to frost the windows. "Then I remind everyone why they feared me in the first place." A phone buzzed. Not hers, Cade's. He checked it, and his expression darkened. "What?" Lily demanded. "Nathan just sent confirmation. The traitors making their move tonight. They're meeting with Volkov's people at the docks." "That's good, right? You can catch them." "It's convenient," Cade stood, pacing now. "Too convenient. Like they want me to know. Like they're setting a trap." "Then don't go." "I have to. This is my shot at proof, at ending this before more bodies pile up." He grabbed his jacket, checked his gun. "Leo's on his way here. He'll stay with you until I get back." Panic flared in her chest. "Cade, if this is a trap, then I'll handle it. Like you handled the last ambush? The one that supposedly killed you?" He froze, hand on the doorknob. The silence stretched, heavy with unspoken fears. "I survived last time because I had something to live for," Cade said quietly. "A reason to crawl through blood and bullets and 3 months of hell. That reason is standing in this room, looking at me like I'm about to break her heart again." Lily stood, crossing to him before she could think better of it. "Don't make me mourn you twice." "I won't." He cupped her face, kissed her forehead with devastating gentleness. "I promise. You promised me forever once before. Right before you died." "I didn't die. I evolved." He pulled back, and the man looking at her now wasn't the Cade she'd fallen in love with, softer around the edges, still learning to balance empire and emotion. This was something harder. Sharper. Forged in betrayal and resurrection. "And when I come back, we're going to talk about what forever actually means. No more secrets. No more graves. Just truth. What if the truth is that we destroy each other? Then we burn together." He kissed her one last time, quick, fierce, a promise and a prayer. "Lock this door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except Leo. He'll use the code word Dante." "Okay. Lily?" "Yeah. I love you. Past, present, future tense. I never stopped." Then he was gone, disappearing into the night like smoke, like a ghost, like the dead man walking he'd become. Lily locked the door. Slid down against it. And for the first time since Cade died, since he pretended to die, she let herself hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd survive this. The explosion 10 minutes later shattered that hope into 1,000 burning pieces. The blast rattled the penthouse windows hard enough to crack glass. Lily was on her feet before the echo faded, heart hammering, Cade's name dying on her lips because screaming wouldn't bring him back, and God, not again, please not again. Her phone lit up. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Almost let it ring while she spiraled into panic and worst-case scenarios. But something, instinct, desperation, the muscle memory of loving a dangerous man, made her swipe to accept. Lily. Not Cade's voice. Deeper. Unfamiliar. "My name is Leo. I'm Cade's cousin. I need you to listen very carefully and not freak out." There was an explosion. Wasn't him. He's fine. The docks were rigged, but he spotted the tripwire and got clear before detonation. Leo's voice remained steady, calm, a lifeline in her spiraling thoughts. But someone knew he'd be there. Someone's feeding intel to the Russians, and it's not safe for me to come to the penthouse. Change of plans. Lily pressed her forehead against the cool window, watching smoke rise from the direction of the waterfront. Where's Cade? Following a lead. He wants you extracted to a secondary location. I'm sending Nathan to get you in 5 minutes. Gray SUV, license plate ending in 847. He'll use the code word. Don't open the door for anyone else. Leo. He's going to be okay, Lily. He's survived worse. Much worse. A pause. He also wanted me to tell you something. What? That he's sorry. And that he loves you. And that you need to trust him even when it doesn't make sense. The line went dead. Lily stood frozen, phone clutched in shaking hands, trying to process the whiplash of emotions. Relief that Cade was alive. Terror that someone was still hunting him. Frustration that even now, even after everything, he was making decisions for her without asking what she wanted. A knock at the door made her jump. Dante, a male voice called. The code word. Right on time. Lily checked the peephole. Tall man, military bearing, dark suit. She opened the door to find Nathan, or at least, a man who looked like he ate nails for breakfast and took no shit from anyone. He had kind eyes though, she noticed. The type that had seen terrible things and chosen humanity anyway. Ms. Lily. He nodded respectfully. We need to move. Now. Where are we going? Somewhere the traitor doesn't know about. Grab anything essential. 30 seconds. She didn't have anything essential. Her whole life fit in a backpack these days. 3 months of running had taught her to travel light. She grabbed it from beside the couch, checked that her pepper spray was still tucked in a side pocket. Fat lot of good it would do against Volkov's people, but habits died hard, and followed Nathan into the hallway. The building was quiet. Too quiet. Nathan noticed it too, his hand drifted toward the gun holstered beneath his jacket. Stay behind me, he murmured. They made it to the elevator. Nathan hit the button for the parking garage, and Lily watched the numbers descend while her pulse climbed higher. Ding! The doors opened onto darkness. Power's cut, Nathan said, pulling his gun. Stay close. Gray SUV is 30 feet ahead, 2 o'clock. Lily's eyes adjusted slowly. She could make out the shapes of vehicles, the concrete pillars casting long shadows. Somewhere in the distance, a door creaked. Nathan moved like a predator, silent, efficient, checking corners. Lily tried to match his quiet, her sneakers barely whispering against concrete. 20 feet. 15. The SUV materialized from the gloom, exactly where he'd said. Get in. Back seat. Duck down. She reached for the door handle. Hello, Nathan. The voice came from behind them. A woman's voice, cultured and cold. Nathan spun, gun raised, and Lily turned to see a figure emerge from the shadows. She was beautiful in a lethal way, tall, blonde, expensive suit that probably cost more than Lily's entire wardrobe. But it was her eyes that made Lily's blood freeze. Empty. Shark eyes. Kara, Nathan said flatly. I should have known. Wait, drop a comment if you saw this betrayal coming. And if you're not subscribed yet, do it now because this story is about to go off the rails, ***. Kara smiled. Did you really think Cade could keep secrets from me? I've been in his organization since the beginning. I know every safe house, every protocol, every weakness. Her gaze slid to Lily. Including her. You sold him out to the Volkov family. I sold out a sinking ship. Cade was good, I'll give him that. Ruthless. Smart. But he made the fatal mistake of having a conscience. She pulled out her own gun, sleek, silver, probably custom. He went soft. Started trying to legitimize the business, move away from the violence. That's not how this world works. The Russians offered me partnership, not servitude. Better deal. Nathan shifted, putting himself between Kara and Lily. Cade's going to kill you for this. Cade's going to be too busy mourning his little girlfriend to worry about me. Kara's gun centered on Lily's chest. Nothing personal, sweetheart. You're just leverage. Once Cade knows I have you, he'll walk right into whatever trap I set. Then I collect my payout from Volkov, and everyone wins. Well, everyone except you too. Lily's mind raced. Nathan was good, she could tell, but Kara had the drop on them. Any move he made, she'd shoot. Unless Cade doesn't love me anymore, Lily blurted out. He faked his death and left me for 3 months. Why would he care if you kill me now? Kara laughed. Nice try. But I've seen the surveillance footage. The cemetery. The way he looked at you. That man would burn the world for you, which makes you worth your weight in gold. Then you know he's already on his way here, Nathan said. The explosion at the docks was a test. He fed you false intel through different channels to see who'd bite. Congratulations, you took the bait. Uncertainty flickered across Kara's face. You're lying. Am I? How else would I know to bring Lily here instead of the penthouse? How else would we be expecting you? If that were true, Cade would be here himself. I am. Cade's voice cut through the darkness like a blade. He stepped into view, gun trained on Kara, and Lily had never seen him look so furious. The careful control he usually maintained had shattered, replaced by pure, cold rage. Cade. Kara's gun wavered. I can explain. You tried to kill me. Murdered 17 of my people. Sold my routes to the Russians. Threatened the woman I love. Each word landed like a bullet. What exactly do you think needs explaining? Business, Kara said desperately. It was just business. You would have done the same. I would have come to you directly. Told you I was out. Given you options. Cade moved closer, and Lily could see the monster beneath his skin now, the part of him that had built an empire on fear and blood. But you chose betrayal. Chose cowardice. Chose to make this personal the second you put Lily in your crosshairs. She's your weakness. No. Cade's smile was terrifying. She's my reason. There's a difference. Everything happened at once. Kara swung her gun toward Lily. Nathan lunged. Cade fired. The shot echoed through the parking garage like thunder, and Kara crumpled, a red bloom spreading across her expensive suit. She hit the concrete hard, gasping, and Cade walked over calmly, crouched beside her. Any last words? He asked, eerily mirroring the question Lily had been asked at the cemetery. Kara coughed blood. The Russians won't stop. Volkov wants your territory, more soldiers, coming. Let them come. Cade stood. I died once. I can die again. But this time, I'm taking everyone who threatens mine straight to hell with me. He fired again. Kara went still. Lily couldn't stop shaking. Nathan drove the SUV through night-black streets while Cade sat beside her in the back seat, silent and covered in someone else's blood. She wanted to say something, anything, but words felt inadequate against the violence of the last 30 minutes. Where are we going? She finally managed. Out of the city, Nathan said from the front. Property upstate. Secure. Off-grid. For how long? Until I finish this. Cade's voice was flat, emotionless. The monster still wore his face. Kara was the traitor, but she was right about one thing: the Volkov family won't stop. They've tasted blood in the water. They'll keep coming until either they control my territory or I'm actually dead this time. So what's the plan? War. Negotiation first. War if necessary. He finally looked at her, and Lily saw exhaustion beneath the rage. I'm tired, Lily. Tired of fighting. Tired of looking over my shoulder. Tired of putting you in danger because of choices I made before I even knew you existed. Then stop, she said. Walk away. We both walk away. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Her own anger finally surfaced, burning through shock and fear. You keep saying you want to protect me, keep me safe. But Cade, I'm not safe with you. I'll never be safe as long as you're in this life. So either you mean what you say and leave the Mafia behind, or you admit that you love the power more than you love me and let me go. The words hung between them like a grenade with the pin pulled. Cade flinched like she'd slapped him. That's not fair. None of this is fair. I didn't ask to fall in love with a criminal. Didn't ask to watch you die, fake die, whatever. Didn't ask to become a target for every enemy you've ever made. Tears burned her eyes. I just wanted you, Cade. The you that bought me roses every Sunday and made terrible coffee and held me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. But that person doesn't exist anymore, does he? He died in that warehouse along with 17 other people. Silence filled the SUV like poison gas. Nathan cleared his throat awkwardly. Approaching the property. ETA 5 minutes. Cade's jaw worked. You're right. Lily blinked. What? You're right. That version of me is gone. But not because I chose violence over you. He turned to face her fully, and the raw honesty in his expression stole her breath. Because loving you changed me, Lily. Made me want things I'd never wanted before. A future. A life outside blood and territory wars. Something real. Then why? Because walking away isn't as simple as deciding to leave. The Mafia doesn't have a retirement plan. You're in until you're dead, and even then, your family pays your debts. His hand found hers, laced their fingers together. But I've been working on something. A way out. For both of us. What kind of way out? The kind that requires burning every bridge and disappearing so completely that Volkov and everyone else assumes we're dead. Cade squeezed her hand. New identities. New country. Enough money hidden in untraceable accounts to live comfortably forever. But it means leaving everything behind. Everyone. No contact with our old lives. Ever. Lily's heart hammered. You do that? Give up your empire? I already did. The second I faked my death. His thumb traced circles on her palm. Everything I've done since, the hunting, the planning, eliminating Kara, it's all been about creating the conditions for us to vanish. But I need you to understand what you'd be agreeing to. Tell me. Lonely, at least at first. Paranoid. Always looking over our shoulders, at least until we're sure the trails are cold. And scary, because we only have each other. I've only had myself for 3 months, Lily said quietly. Having you sounds like an upgrade. A ghost of his old smile. Even knowing what I am. What I've done. Especially knowing. She cupped his face, feeling the scar tissue and stubble, the evidence of survival and sin. I love you, Cade. Not the Mafia boss. Not the Empire. You, the man who remembered I like white roses. Who held me through nightmares. Who faked his own death to protect me even though it broke us both. Lily. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more lies. No more secrets. If we do this, if we disappear together, I need complete honesty. About the plan. About the risks. About everything. Cade nodded slowly. Okay. Then here's the truth, Volkov's not the only threat. There's a federal investigation closing in on my organization. The FBI has been building a RICO case for 2 years. Kara knew about it. That's part of why she bailed. Jesus, Cade. But, he continued, the lead investigator is someone I have history with. Ethan Cole. We grew up together before I went one way and he went another. I think I can negotiate immunity for information. Give them enough to take down Volkov and the other families while keeping myself and you out of it. And if Ethan says no? Then we skip negotiation and go straight to Plan B, disappear. The SUV turned onto a long gravel driveway, headlights illuminating a rustic cabin surrounded by woods. But either way, after tonight, Cade Moretti dies for good. And whoever we become next gets to choose a different story. Nathan parked. We're here. I'll do a perimeter check. Alone in the back seat, Lily studied the man who'd literally come back from the dead for her. Scarred. Dangerous. Offering her the only thing he had left to give, truth and a chance at something resembling normal. When do you meet with Ethan? She asked. Tomorrow. He's expecting me at a neutral location. If it goes well, we might have immunity and new identities by the end of the week. And if it goes badly? Cade's smile was grim. Then I kill him, burn every bridge, and we run so far that not even God could find us. Lily took a deep breath. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm in. Whatever happens. We face it together. Cade pulled her close, buried his face in her hair, and for the first time since she'd seen him alive at the cemetery, he let himself break. Just for a moment. Just long enough to remind them both that beneath the violence and strategy, they were still just two people trying to love each other in a world determined to tear them apart. I won't let anything happen to you, he whispered. Lily held him tighter. I know. But the gunshots that shattered the cabin windows 30 seconds later proved that some promises were harder to keep than others. Glass exploded inward like razor rain. Cade threw himself over Lily, dragging them both to the floor as bullets punched through walls, shredded furniture, turned their sanctuary into a war zone. She couldn't breathe, his weight crushed the air from her lungs, but she didn't fight it because alive crushed was better than dead. Nathan. Cade roared. The shooting stopped. Eerie silence rushed in to fill the void. Nathan's busy, a voice called from outside. Male. Accented. Russian. Come out, Moretti. You and the girl. Make this easy. Cade's hand found Lily's face in the darkness, checking for injuries. You hit? No. You. Fine. He rolled off her, staying low, gun already in his hand. There's a safe room. Back of the cabin, behind the bookshelf. Code is your birthday, 0-8-1-7. I'm not leaving you. You're not staying in the crossfire. His eyes burned with desperate intensity. Lily, please. I can't think, can't fight, can't do what needs doing if I'm worried about you catching a stray bullet. I need you safe. More gunfire erupted. Different direction this time. Nathan returning fire, she realized. Still alive. Still fighting. 30 seconds, the Russian called. Then we burn the cabin down with all of you inside. Cade kissed her, hard and fast and tasting like goodbye. Run. Now. Lily ran. Through the darkness, stumbling over debris, hands outstretched until they hit the bookshelf. She found the hidden latch by pure luck, pulled, and the shelf swung inward to reveal a small reinforced room. Punched in her birthday with shaking fingers. The door sealed with a hydraulic hiss. Then she was alone. The safe room had one small monitor showing security camera feeds. Lily watched in horror as the scene unfolded. Cade burst through the cabin's side door, firing. 2 Russians went down. Nathan emerged from the tree line, flanking. 3 more dropped. But there were too many, at least a dozen, all heavily armed, spreading out to surround the cabin. And leading them, stepping into the flickering light of the burning SUV Nathan had torched as a distraction, was a man who made Lily's blood freeze. Viktor Volkov himself. She'd seen photos. Read the intelligence reports Cade used to leave lying around his penthouse, back when she'd been curious about his world. But pictures didn't capture the casual cruelty in Volkov's smile, the way he moved like violence was a second language. Cade Moretti, Volkov said, voice carrying across the chaos. The dead man walking. I must admit, when Kara told me you'd survived, I didn't believe her. But here you are. Stubborn as always. Cade reloaded, never taking his eyes off Volkov. Kara's dead. So are most of your men. Walk away, Viktor. This doesn't have to end with your body next to theirs. Oh, but it does. Volkov gestured, and his remaining soldiers raised their weapons. You see, you've become more valuable dead than alive. The FBI's investigation. They'd love to make a deal with you. Can't have that. Too many of my operations would be exposed. So you came yourself. Personal touch. I'm flattered. I came because I wanted to watch. Volkov's smile widened. And because I wanted to meet the woman who made the great Cade Moretti go soft. Where is she, by the way? Hiding. Cade's expression never changed, but Lily saw his finger tighten on the trigger. Long gone. Smarter than me. She ran the second the shooting started. Liar. Volkov pulled out a tablet, turned it to show thermal imaging. I have excellent equipment. Heat signatures don't lie. There are 3 warm bodies in this compound, you, your guard dog Nathan, and 1 additional person. My guess? Locked in whatever panic room you built for exactly this scenario. Lily's hands clenched. Run, she willed Cade. Forget me and run. But she knew he wouldn't. Knew it the same way she knew the sun would rise. Cade Moretti didn't abandon people he loved. It was his greatest strength and his fatal flaw. Counteroffer, Cade said. Let Nathan and the girl go. They're not part of this. You want me? Fine. I'll come quietly. No more bloodshed. No. Viktor. I don't make deals with dead men, Cade. You taught me that, actually. Years ago, when you executed my predecessor for showing mercy. Volkov raised his gun, aimed at Cade's chest. You said weakness was a disease. That the only cure was elimination. I'm simply applying your own philosophy. Nathan moved. He came from Volkov's blind side, fast and lethal, tackling the Russian boss to the ground. Chaos erupted. Soldiers opened fire, but Nathan rolled, using Volkov as a human shield. Cade took advantage of the confusion, dropping 3 more men with clinical precision. But numbers won wars, not skill. A bullet caught Nathan in the shoulder. He grunted, losing his grip on Volkov. Another shot hit his leg. He went down hard, bleeding, and Lily watched in horror as 2 soldiers dragged him away from their boss. Volkov stood, brushing off his suit like he'd simply tripped. Brave. Stupid, but brave. He kicked Nathan in the ribs. You know what I do to people who put their hands on me? Victor. Cade's voice cut like a whip. Take me. Leave him. Why would I choose when I can have both? Volkov gestured to his men. Bring Moretti. They rushed Cade. He fought like a demon, brutal, efficient, desperate. Took down 2 more before they overwhelmed him through sheer numbers. 4 soldiers pinned him, stripped his weapons, forced him to his knees beside Nathan. Lily bit her fist to keep from screaming. There, Volkov said, satisfied. Much better. Now, about that woman. He walked toward the cabin. Toward the bookshelf. Toward her. Cade thrashed against his captors. She's not here. I sent her away before you arrived. Then you won't mind if I check. Volkov disappeared inside. Lily's monitor showed him methodically searching rooms. Getting closer. The safe room was good, reinforced steel, hidden latch, but if he had thermal imaging, it was only a matter of time. Her phone buzzed silently. Text from an unknown number, *, this is Leo. Cops called. ETA 8 minutes, stay hidden. *. 8 minutes. She could last 8 minutes. Volkov reached the bookshelf. Studied it. Ran his hands along the edges. Found the latch. Interesting, he murmured. Lily's heart stopped. The monitor showed Cade outside, still struggling, shouting something she couldn't hear through the soundproofing. Nathan was unconscious now, bleeding badly. This was it. This was how it ended, trapped in a box while the monster found her and Cade watched helplessly. Volkov pulled the latch. Nothing happened. He pulled again, confused. The birthday code, he didn't have it. Couldn't get in without it. Lily nearly sobbed with relief. Blow it, Volkov said into his radio. No. They were going to blow the door. The safe room could withstand bullets, maybe even a small explosion, but sustained bombardment. She'd be trapped when the structure failed, crushed or burned or. A new voice cut through the night. FBI. Drop your weapons. Volkov spun. Impossible. They're not supposed to be here for another. Yeah, funny thing about federal investigations, Agent Ethan Cole stepped into view, flanked by a dozen agents in tactical gear. We tend to show up when dangerous criminals are about to commit murder. Now, I'll say it one more time, drop your weapons and get on the ground. The Russians hesitated. Shoot them. Volkov screamed. But his men were professionals. They knew when a fight was lost. One by one, weapons clattered to the dirt. Hands raised in surrender. Volkov's face twisted with rage. You called them. You set this up. Cade, still on his knees, smiled through blood. I told you I had a meeting with Ethan tomorrow. Never said I hadn't already made a deal. You betrayed the code. Betrayed everything. I evolved, Cade said. Learned that some things matter more than empire. Like living. Like loving. Like her. His eyes found the camera he knew Lily was watching from. And I'd burn every code, every rule, every bridge in this world to keep her safe. Ethan's agents swarmed. Volkov was cuffed, screaming threats in Russian. His soldiers were rounded up. Nathan was loaded into an ambulance, stable according to the EMT. And Cade. Ethan helped him to his feet. You kept your end. Information on Volkov's entire operation, Kara's offshore accounts, the corruption network. Enough to take down 3 families and close our RICO case. And immunity? Cade asked. Full immunity for you and Lily. New identities if you want them. Fresh start. Ethan paused. You really walking away from all this? Already walked. This is just me closing the door behind me. Ethan nodded to the cabin. Go get your girl. Lily heard Cade's voice through the steel door. Lily. Baby, it's over. You can come out. She didn't move. Couldn't move. 3 months of grief, 30 minutes of terror, and now sudden salvation. Her brain couldn't process the whiplash. I know you're scared, Cade continued. I know you've got every reason not to trust that this is real. But Lily, I need to see you. Need to know you're okay. Please. His voice cracked on the last word. That broke through her paralysis. Lily stumbled to the door, punched in the code with numb fingers. The hydraulic seal released with a hiss, and then she was running, bursting out of the safe room and into Cade's arms. He caught her. Held her. Buried his face in her hair and shook. I thought I'd lost you, he whispered. When Volkov walked toward the bookshelf, I thought. I'm okay. I'm here. We're both here. She pulled back to examine him. Bruises blooming across his jaw. Split lip. But alive. Whole. Hers. Is it really over? The war. Yeah. Volkov's going to prison for life. His organization's in shambles. And with Kara's files in FBI hands, every family that backed the hit on me is about to have much bigger problems than one dead Mafia boss. And us? Cade cupped her face. Immunity. Full pardons for anything you might have witnessed or been tangentially involved in during our relationship. Clean slate. That's not possible. The FBI doesn't just. They do when you hand them the biggest organized crime bust in a decade. Ethan approached, professional but not unkind. Ms. Lily. I'm Agent Ethan Cole. I've been investigating Cade's organization for 2 years. And while I can't say I approve of his career choices, I believe people can change. Deserve second chances. Lily glanced between Ethan and Cade. You two really grew up together. Same neighborhood. Different paths. Ethan smiled slightly. He chose empire. I chose justice. But we both wanted the same thing in the end, to protect people we care about. So what happens now? Lily asked. Now, you two decide if you want new identities or just immunity and privacy, Ethan explained. We can set you up anywhere in the country. New names, new backgrounds, witness protection level security. Or, if you prefer, we simply make sure no one from Cade's old life can touch you while you build something new as yourselves. Cade looked at Lily. Your choice. I'll do whatever you want. She thought about it. New names meant safety but also erasure, losing herself completely to become someone else. Keeping their identities meant risk but also authenticity. The chance to actually heal instead of just hide. I want to be Lily, she said finally. Not some invented person. I want to own my choices, my past, my love for you. All of it. Even knowing people might judge you for loving a criminal. Even knowing I'd do it again in a heartbeat. She laced her fingers through his. But I also want you to be Cade. Not the Mafia boss. Just. Cade. The man who buys white roses and makes terrible coffee and holds me like I'm the only thing that matters. That man is all I want to be, Cade said softly. For the rest of my life, if you'll let me. Is that a proposal? It's a promise. The proposal comes later. With a ring. And a better setting than a shot-up cabin. Lily laughed, slightly hysterical, because they were alive and safe and somehow, impossibly, free. Ethan cleared his throat. I'll give you two a moment. But Cade, we need your full deposition in the morning. Every detail about Volkov's network, Kara's betrayal, the offshore accounts. You hold up your end, and I'll make sure you and Lily get to walk away from this. You have my word. Good. Ethan started to leave, then paused. For what it's worth. I'm glad you didn't die in that warehouse. You were a pain in the ass growing up, but you deserved better than betrayal. After he left, Cade and Lily stood in the wreckage of the cabin, shattered glass, bullet holes, evidence of how close they'd come to losing everything. But also evidence of survival. Of fighting for each other. Of love strong enough to outlast death itself. What do we do now? Lily asked. Now. Cade pulled her close, swaying slightly like they were dancing to music only they could hear. Now we heal. We testify. We watch Volkov and everyone who tried to destroy us go to prison. And then we disappear, not into hiding, but into the kind of normal, boring, beautiful life I never thought I'd get to have. Where? Anywhere you want. Small town, big city, mountains, ocean. You pick, and I'll follow. Lily rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat, steady, strong, alive. Somewhere quiet. With a garden. And a porch swing. And absolutely no bulletproof windows. Sounds perfect. And Cade? Yeah. No more secrets. No more lies. No more dying, fake or otherwise. He pressed a kiss to her temple. I swear on everything I have left, which is basically just you and a federal immunity deal, complete honesty from here on out. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Sirens wailed in the distance. More FBI, probably. Cleanup crews. The machinery of justice grinding into motion. But for this moment, in the ruins of Cade's old life, they had peace. I love you, Lily whispered. Past, present, future tense. Cade smiled, real and warm and nothing like the cold monster who'd executed Kara in the parking garage. I love you too. And this time, when I promise forever, I actually get to keep it. They held each other while the world rearranged itself around them. The war was over. The enemies defeated. The lies finally buried for good. All that remained was the truth, two people who'd loved each other through death and resurrection, learning to live again. 6 weeks later, Lily sat in a federal courthouse watching the man who tried to kill them face justice. Viktor Volkov looked smaller behind the defendant's table. Diminished. The arrogance had drained from his face, replaced by the hollow-eyed reality of a man staring down multiple life sentences. Beside her, Cade sat perfectly still, but she felt the tension coiling through him, muscle memory from years of violence, warring with his determination to let the law handle this. She squeezed his hand. He squeezed back. The prosecution calls Cade Moretti to the stand, the prosecutor announced. Cade stood, buttoned his suit jacket, tailored, expensive, but softer somehow than the armor he used to wear, and walked to the witness box. He looked different now. The sharp edges had smoothed. The darkness in his eyes had receded, replaced by something that looked almost like peace. He swore to tell the truth. The whole truth. And he did. For 3 hours, Cade detailed everything. Volkov's operations. The assassination attempt. Kara's betrayal. The offshore accounts funding terrorism, trafficking, corruption that stretched into police departments and political offices. Names, dates, transactions, all of it delivered in that calm, methodical voice Lily had once found terrifying and now found comforting. Volkov's lawyer tried to rattle him. Isn't it true, Mr. Moretti, that you were one of the most feared criminals in this city? That you've personally ordered executions? Yes. And yet we're supposed to believe you've suddenly developed a conscience. Cade's eyes found Lily in the gallery. Not suddenly. Gradually. Because I met someone who showed me there was more to life than power and fear. Someone worth becoming better for. How convenient. A redemption arc to trade for immunity. Convenient would have been staying dead, Cade said quietly. Convenient would have been disappearing with my money and leaving all of you to destroy each other. I came back because some things matter more than convenience. Like justice. Like making sure the man who tried to murder the woman I love faces consequences. The lawyer had no response to that. Volkov's face twisted with rage. He lunged from his seat, screaming obscenities in Russian, and had to be restrained by 3 bailiffs. The judge called for order. The jury looked horrified. It was over in that moment. Lily could see it in their faces. Volkov had lost before the verdict was even read. After Cade's testimony, Lily was called. She'd been dreading this, but Ethan had coached her well. She told her story simply, falling in love with Cade, mourning his death, being targeted by his enemies. She explained how she'd never been involved in his business, never knew the details of his operations, was simply a woman who'd loved the wrong man and paid for it in fear and grief. The defense tried to paint her as complicit. You must have known what Mr. Moretti did for a living. I knew he was dangerous, Lily admitted. I knew people feared him. But he kept that world separate from me. Protected me from it. Maybe that was naive, but I was in love. We don't always make rational choices when we're in love. And now? Are you still in love with a confessed criminal? Lily met Cade's eyes across the courtroom. I'm in love with a man who's trying to be better. Who risked everything to bring down the people who profit from violence and suffering. Who chose truth over power. Yes, I still love him. I'm not ashamed of that. The trial lasted 2 more weeks. Witness after witness testified about Volkov's crimes. The evidence Cade had provided proved devastating: financial records, recorded conversations, testimony from lower-level members of the organization who'd been offered their own immunity deals. When the verdict came back, guilty on all 37 counts, Lily felt Cade's entire body sag with relief beside her. It's really over, he whispered. It's really over, she confirmed. Volkov was sentenced to life without parole. His assets were seized. His organization dismantled. The other families who'd backed the hit on Cade were facing their own indictments. And Cade and Lily. They were free. After the sentencing, Ethan found them outside the courthouse. You kept your word, he said to Cade. Every piece of information you provided checked out. The FBI's closing cases that have been open for years because of you. I had good motivation. Cade's arm tightened around Lily's waist. I know. And for what it's worth, I believe you've changed. Not many people get that chance. Ethan handed them an envelope. Your immunity papers. Official and legally binding. You're clear of all charges, past and present. The slate's clean. Lily took the envelope with shaking hands. What about protection? The families are in too much chaos to worry about revenge right now. And we've made it very clear through back channels that you're under federal protection. Anyone who touches you brings the full weight of the FBI down on their head. Ethan smiled slightly. You're safer now than you've ever been. Thank you, Cade said. For believing I could be more than what I was. Thank Lily. She's the one who gave you a reason to try. Ethan shook Cade's hand, nodded respectfully to Lily, and walked away into his own life, one of continued justice and battles fought in courtrooms instead of dark alleys. Cade turned to Lily. Ready to disappear into boring suburban bliss? So ready. They'd already found the house, a small craftsman cottage 2 hours upstate, with a porch swing and room for a garden and neighbors who smiled when they waved. Far enough from the city to feel safe. Close enough to not feel isolated. Perfect. But first, one more stop. Cade drove them to the cemetery. To his grave. They stood before the headstone, Cade Moretti. Beloved son. Feared leader. Gone too soon, and Lily felt the surreal weight of everything that had happened since she'd last been here. Think we should tell them to remove it, she asked. No. Cade pulled out a marker. Let it stand. A monument to the man I used to be. The one who died so I could become someone better. He knelt, and beneath his name, he wrote in bold letters, Reborn. Lily smiled through tears. That's incredibly dramatic. I'm incredibly dramatic. You signed up for this. I did, didn't I? She knelt beside him, took the marker, and added her own message, loved. Mourned. Remembered. But not lost, They stood together, hands clasped, looking at the grave that had brought them back to each other. I need to ask you something, Cade said suddenly. Okay. He turned to face her, and Lily's breath caught because she knew what was coming. Had known, probably, since that moment in the parking garage when he'd killed for her, died for her, come back for her. Cade pulled a small box from his jacket. Opened it to reveal a simple platinum band with a single diamond, elegant, understated, nothing like the flashy wealth of his old life. I bought this the week before I was supposed to die, he said. Carried it through every fight, every close call, every moment I thought I might not make it back to you. It was my reminder of what I was fighting for. What I wanted to build with you. Lily's hands flew to her mouth. I'm not the man you fell in love with. He's buried in this grave. And I'm not the man I used to be before you, he's buried too. I'm someone new. Someone still figuring out how to be good, how to be worthy. His voice roughened. But I love you, Lily. More than power. More than empire. More than my own life. And I want to spend whatever time I have left proving that every single day. He dropped to one knee on the grass, in front of his own headstone, and Lily started crying in earnest. Will you marry me? Cade asked. Will you build a quiet, boring, beautiful life with a reformed criminal who makes terrible coffee and loves you more than anything in this world? Yes, Lily sobbed. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, of course it did. Cade had always paid attention to details. Had probably measured her finger while she slept months ago, back when they'd still been pretending forever was possible. Turned out forever had just been waiting for them to fight their way back to it. 1 year later. Lily stood in her garden, hands covered in dirt, coaxing tomatoes and basil and roses, always white roses, from the earth. The cottage had become home in ways her old apartment never had. Warm. Safe. Filled with the kind of ordinary happiness she'd once thought impossible. Inside, Cade was attempting to make coffee. She could hear him cursing at the machine through the open window and smiled. Some things never changed. Lily, he called. I think I broke it again. You're pressing the wrong button. There are too many buttons. Coffee should not require a PhD. She laughed, brushing dirt from her hands, and headed inside. Found Cade glaring at their very expensive, very temperamental espresso machine like it had personally offended him. Here. She nudged him aside, pressed 3 buttons in sequence, and the machine hummed to life. See? Simple. You're a witch. A beautiful, patient witch who married an idiot. A reformed idiot, she corrected, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. An idiot who's been taking online courses in business management and talking to Leo about legitimate investment opportunities. Cade had sold off his remaining underground assets and invested the money in legal ventures, real estate development, tech startups, a security consulting firm that helped businesses protect themselves from exactly the kind of threats he used to embody. Leo ran the day-to-day operations while Cade provided strategy from a safe distance. It wasn't empire. But it was honest. And it was theirs. "How's Nathan?" Lily asked, pouring them both coffee. "Good. Physio's going well. He'll have a limp, but he's walking. Might even come visit next month if his doctor clears him for travel." Cade sipped his coffee, made a face. "Okay, yours is definitely better than mine. That's because I follow instructions. I'm learning. Give me another 30 years. 30 years. The casual way he said it made her heart swell. They had time now. Real time. Not stolen moments between violence, but actual decades to grow old together, bore each other with routine, build something lasting. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number, *, congratulations on the baby. *. Lily's hand drifted to her stomach, still flat, barely 8 weeks along. They'd only found out yesterday. Hadn't told anyone yet except apparently Ethan had excellent intelligence networks even in retirement. "He knows," she told Cade, showing him the message. Cade smiled. "Of course he does. Probably has the nursery bugged." "That's not funny." "Little bit funny." He pulled her close, hand covering hers on her stomach. "We're having a baby." "We're having a baby," she confirmed, still awed by it. "Are you scared?" "Terrified. What if I'm a terrible father? What if I mess them up with my past, my choices?" "You won't." Lily cupped his face. "You'll be amazing. Patient and protective and so full of love that they'll never doubt they're wanted. I know this because that's who you've been with me. I want to give them everything we didn't have," Cade said quietly. "Safety. Stability. A home where they never have to choose between love and survival. Then we will. Together." They stood in their kitchen, sunlight streaming through windows, coffee cooling on the counter, future stretching bright and unwritten before them. Later that evening, they sat on the porch swing, watching sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. Cade's arm around Lily's shoulders. Her hand on the gentle swell where their baby grew. The white roses in the garden perfuming the air. "Do you ever miss it?" Lily asked. "The power? The respect?" "Sometimes I miss the certainty," Cade admitted. "Knowing exactly who I was, what I controlled. But then I look at this, at you, at our home, at the life we're building, and I realize I never actually had power before. I just had fear. Other people's fear that I mistook for respect. And now I have you. I have truth. I have a chance to be someone my kid won't be ashamed of." He kissed her temple. "That's not power. That's better. That's purpose." They rocked slowly, the porch swing creaking in rhythm with their breathing. "I love you," Lily said. "The man you were. The man you are. The man you're becoming." "I love you more," Cade countered. "The woman who saved me by giving me something worth dying for. And then something even better, worth living for. That's cheating. I can't top that." "Then don't. Just stay. Keep making terrible coffee jokes. Keep growing roses. Keep choosing me, every single day. Deal." As darkness fell, they remained intertwined on their porch swing, two people who'd survived death and betrayal and impossible odds to find something simple and profound, home. Somewhere in the city, Viktor Volkov sat in a cell, paying for his crimes. Somewhere closer, Nathan was healing, learning to walk again, planning that visit. Somewhere in an FBI office, Ethan was closing case files and believing, maybe for the first time, that redemption was real. And in a cottage with white roses and a garden and a porch swing, Cade and Lily were living proof that love could survive anything, even death itself. 3 years later, their daughter Nora took her first steps in the garden, stumbling from Cade to Lily through a maze of white roses. She laughed, fearless and bright, and Cade caught her with hands that had once dealt death and now cradled life. "Look at her," he whispered, awed. "She has your stubbornness," Lily observed. "And your smile. We're doomed." They were blessed. In the end, Cade Moretti had died twice. Once in a warehouse, bullets and betrayal. Once in a courtroom, truth and testimony. And he'd been reborn into something better. Not a mafia boss. Not a criminal. Just a husband. A father. A man learning that the greatest empire you could build was a family. And that the only legacy that mattered was love. Thank you so much for watching this journey with me. If this story touched your heart, please leave a comment telling me your favorite moment. And subscribe if you haven't already. I've got more emotional stories coming that are going to wreck you in the best way. 2 hearts ***. Which part destroyed you the most? The cemetery reunion? The trial? The proposal? Tell me everything in the comments below. Love you all. Red heart ***.